We talk a lot on our show about some of the most fascinating people in U.S. history, and one of those was Quanah Parker, who was the last chief of the American Indian tribe, the Comanche. Now, Quanah Parker was a fierce warrior up until this one day in 1875 when he led his people to Fort Sill, Oklahoma, and there he took on a new life of peace.
He did indeed. Quanah's image remains strong among his people, but a significant part of his heritage is in jeopardy in Oklahoma. VOA's Greg Flakes has done a lot of reporting on the Comanches, and he tells me that the last home of Quanah Parker, like his life itself, sits now at the crossroads of two worlds.
After giving up the warrior life and settling on the reservation, Quanah Parker became an advocate for his tribe. That earned him the respect and friendship of such notable figures as President Theodore Roosevelt. Bruce Caesar, a Pawnee American Indian, admires the Comanche and credits Quanah for their success running businesses like casinos while keeping the tribe's identity.
He did an outstanding job of bringing his people into contemporary society, whereas now they're one of the powerhouses of the sovereign nations here in Oklahoma.
So Quanah Parker came in to the reservation and quickly saw the way things were in the modern world. And so he learned how to do business with cattlemen, and the cattlemen respected him. These were former enemies. So it's quite a story how these people who had been fierce enemies suddenly became the closest of friends. And Quanah, I think it shows the kind of charisma he had, that he was able to do that he was able to make these people friends. And even the President of the United States, Theodore Roosevelt, came and spent time with him.
But what is the significance of his house? Why would anyone care about that?
Well, that's another interesting. Most of the Indians, even, big chiefs like Sitting Bull of the Lakota, he lived in a kind of a shack. I mean, it was a basic house. Quanah looked around and he said, well, I'm the big leader here. I'm the one that's negotiating things, working things out. Why should I live in a teepee or a little, log cabin? He first petitioned the U.S. government to build him one, but the Indian agent in charge at the time was a strict Baptist who frowned on Quanah's polygamy. He had 8 wives, and so he wouldn't do it. So Quanah went to the cattlemen, the Texas cattlemen, and they worked out something to build this house for him. And they built a 2-story house, and he asked to have stars on the roof because he'd noticed that generals in the U.S. Army had stars on their, the uniforms, and he'd seen stars like on the Texas flag and on the U.S. flag. And so he said, well, that's important. I should have stars. So they put stars on the roof. And this house then became a gathering point for not only the Indians and the people there on the reservation, but for local citizens, politicians, all kinds of visiting dignitaries.
We know that currently there's a battle going on between the current owner and people who are trying to reclaim the house so that they can keep it as a national treasure.
It's in danger of, not existing much longer. Part of the problem is it's on this lot, and the man who owns it has every right to it. Let's make that clear. His uncle saved the house originally by moving it from its then location on the reservation because it was in the way of a firing range at Fort Sill and could have been destroyed. So they moved it to Cache, just several kilometers to the south. His nephew and niece, Wayne, was the man that took me around in there. They look at it like this is something that is part of their family heritage as well. They have a kind of a sentimental attachment to it, and they want to continue to give tours there and everything, but they admit that they don't really have the funds to maintain it properly, and you can see that when you're there. You can see boards are rotting and falling apart. You can't go up on the second floor anymore because it's too dangerous. There are a lot of things that could happen where that house could just be lost, and it's a real shame because this is something that really illustrates a part of U.S. history. It's something that connects people to that past and what happened then.